There's a smooth gray creek rock sitting in my wife Brenda's sewing basket right now. It is about the size of a goose egg, worn round as a doorknob, and it has been in that basket longer than I have been alive. It does not sharpen anything. It does not cut anything. But tonight, that rock is going to help me turn a hole in a $40 wool sweater into brand new cloth, woven right into the sleeve, using about $1 worth of yarn and 20 minutes at the kitchen table. My Mama Opal fixed every sweater, sock, and pair of long johns this family owned with that same rock through winters when there was no money for new ones and no store within a day's ride anyhow. Folks today throw a sweater in the trash over a hole smaller than a dime. Mama would have wept. So today I am going to show you the old Appalachian way to fix a hole in a sweater, start to finish, right at my kitchen table. And stay with me clear to the end, because the reason you never pull a single one of these threads tight is not carelessness. It is one specific thing a sweater does every time you put it on, and it is the whole difference between a patch that lasts 20 years and a patch that tears back out in a month. I'm Roy Mullins. I'm 59 years old, and I live on the 40 acres at the head of a holler in eastern Kentucky, where my people have farmed since the 1800s. I spent 22 years as an electrician in the coal mines before I came back home to run the old home place full time. Everything I know at the kitchen table came from my Mama Opal, and she never wasted a thing, and neither do I. Now let's talk plain about what a sweater costs these days. A decent wool sweater at the store runs anywhere from $40 to $80, and the cheap ones are worse than no bargain at all because they pill up and wear thin by the second winter. So when a good one gets a hole in the elbow, most folks do one of two things. Some throw it out and buy new, which is $40 gone over a dime-sized hole, and some try to fix it, but they fix it the wrong way. They thread a needle, pinch the two sides of the hole together, and sew it shut like closing a feed sack. And for about 2 weeks, that looks fine. Then it puckers up like a scar, and the next time that sweater stretches over an elbow or a shoulder, the fabric tears loose right along that seam, and now the hole is bigger than when they started. The reason that happens is the exact same reason I am saving for the end of this video about why you never pull these threads tight. Hold that thought, because once you hear it, you will never sew a hole shut again. The old way does not sew the hole shut at all. The old way weaves a small piece of brand new cloth right in the middle of the old one, and done right, that patch will outlive the sweater around it. Now, everything I am fixing to show you today comes out of the book me and Brenda put together called Save $9,000 a Year, the Appalachian Homestead Manual. It is our family's old mountain systems, the ones my people have used for 3 generations to feed a household and run a home on almost nothing, written out plain and step by step. The garden, the pantry, and the putting up. The root cellar, the smokehouse, the kitchen, the power, and the water. Mending a sweater is one small taste of the thinking that runs all through that book, which is this. You keep what you have working instead of buying it twice. Added up, those methods save our household better than $9,000 a year. The book is $17 right now, marked down from $47, and the first method most folks try pays that $17 back inside a month. Around here, we count that as savings earned. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time, there is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. All right, let's gather up what we need, and I promise you already own most of it. First, you need yarn. Wool yarn is best for a wool sweater, about the same thickness as the yarn the sweater is knit from. Hold a strand up against the sweater in the light, and if it looks close, it is close enough. You can match the color if you want the fix to disappear. Or you can do what the young folks are doing now and pick a color that stands out on purpose, like a bright blue patch on a cream sweater, and wear that man proud. Mama would have found that funny, but I will tell you, she wore her patches without 1 ounce of shame. Second, you need a needle with a big eye and a blunt tip. The sewing store calls it a tapestry needle, and a pack of them costs about $3. Blunt matters. A sharp needle splits the yarn of the sweater, and a blunt one slides between the loops, which is where we want to be. Third, you need something smooth and hard to put inside the sleeve under the hole. The old-timers used a wooden darning egg. Mama used that creek rock. A burned-out light bulb works. So does a small jelly jar. Its whole job is to hold the fabric open and round so you do not sew the front of the sleeve to the back of it. And yes, every beginner does that exactly once. And last, good light and a pair of scissors. That is the whole kit. Maybe $5 if you had to buy every bit of it new. Now let's get the hole ready, and this part takes 2 minutes. Put your rock or your egg inside the sleeve, right under the hole. Smooth the fabric over it so the hole lays open and easy, not stretched. Now look close at the edges of that hole. You will see fuzzy, broken ends of yarn standing up. Take your scissors and trim off just the loose fuzz. Do not cut into the fabric itself, not one thread. Every thread you cut makes the hole bigger, and our whole job here is making it smaller. Then look about 1/2 inch out from the hole in every direction and find where the fabric feels sound and solid again. That 1/2 inch of good solid fabric is where the real work happens. Remember that number, 1/2 inch, because the patch does not live in the hole. The patch lives in the solid ground around it. My Papa Harlan built fence the same way. You do not set a post at the edge of the washout. You set it back in ground that will hold. Thread your needle with about an arm's length of yarn and do not tie a knot in the end of it. I know that feels wrong. No knot. Leave a loose tail about 2 inches long hanging on the inside, and we will deal with all the tails at the end. There is a real reason for it, and it is part of what I promised you at the start, so keep it in your mind. Now, we build the ladder, and this is the heart of the whole thing. Starting 1/2 inch below the hole in that good solid fabric, run your needle in and out a few small stitches sideways to anchor the yarn. Then bring the needle up and carry the yarn straight up, clean over the open hole, and catch it into the solid fabric 1/2 inch above the hole with another small stitch or two. You have just laid your first rail. Now come straight back down alongside it and lay the next one. Keep going, back and forth, up and down, laying rail after rail across that hole. Lay them close together, about as close as the lines on a sheet of notebook paper, side by side and even, like the boards on a gate. And now, folks, pay attention here, because this is the part everybody gets wrong. Let every one of those rails lay down easy. Do not pull them straight and tight like fence wire, that it lays soft against the rock underneath instead of humming like a banjo string. I will tell you exactly why before we are done, and I promise you it is the difference between doing this once and doing it every winter. When your rails run past the far edge of the hole and 1/2 inch into good fabric on every side, the ladder is done. Look at it a second. A dime-sized hole wants maybe 12 or 15 rails. Does not matter if yours takes 10 or 20. Close and even is all that counts. Now comes the weaving, and this is the part where the hole stops being a hole. Turn your work sideways, or just turn your hand, because now we travel across those rails instead of along them. Slide the blunt tip of your needle over the first rail, under the second, over the third, under the fourth, all the way across, and catch a small stitch in the solid fabric on the far side. Now come back the other direction, and here is the one rule of weaving. Do the opposite of the row before. Every rail you went over last trip, you go under this trip. Every rail you went under, you go over. That opposite, over and under, back and forth, is what locks the threads into real cloth. It is the same weave as the cotton shirt on your back, and the same weave in every feed sack mama ever turned into a dish towel. After every 2 or 3 rows, take the side of your needle and comb the finished rows gently down, snug against each other, like raking hay into a windrow. Snug the rows together, but hear me now, never pull the yarn itself tight at the ends of the rows. Easy and even. If your hands are anything less than young, take your time. There is no rush at all. This is porch work. Mama did it by lamplight with her eyes half closed, talking the whole while. Keep weaving row after row until the rails are filled from the bottom of the hole to the top, plus that ½ inch of overlap onto solid fabric top and bottom. When you run short of yarn, just leave a 2-inch tail hanging on the inside and start a fresh length where you left off. No knots. When the last row is combed down, look at what you have got. A brand new piece of woven cloth, grown right into the old sweater, anchored ½ an inch deep into solid ground on all 4 sides. To finish, turn the sleeve inside out. Take each hanging tail, thread it on your needle, and run it in and out through the back of your new patch for about 1 inch, then trim it close. The weave itself grips those tails like a handshake. Still no knots, and now I am going to tell you why. Because this right here is what I promised you at the beginning. A sweater is not woven cloth. A sweater is knit, one long yarn looped through itself thousands of times, and those loops are why a sweater stretches. Every single time you put that sweater on, push your arm through the sleeve, bend your elbow, or reach for a top shelf, that fabric stretches and eases back hundreds of times a day, all winter long. Now think about what you just built. A woven patch does not stretch. Weaving locks threads against each other, which is exactly what makes it strong. So you have set a piece of fabric that cannot give in the middle of a fabric that gives all day long. If you pull your threads tight, that patch turns into a little board riding in the middle of living cloth, and every stretch of that sweater yanks on the stitches at the patch's edge, the same few loops over and over, hundreds of times a day. Inside a month, those loops wear through, and the patch tears out along its own border, usually taking new fabric with it. That is also why a knot fails, and why sewing the hole shut fails. A knot is a hard little stone that grinds on the loops around it, and a sewn seam is a tight line that all that stretching pulls against until it rips. But leave that little bit of slack in every thread the way I showed you, and the patch has room to move when the sweater moves. It rides along easy instead of fighting. The old folks did not have a word like fiber mechanics. Mama just said you have to leave the patch room to breathe. She was dead right, and that little bit of ease is the whole reason her men's outlived the clothes they were sewn into. And that little piece of know-how right there is 1 page worth of what is in that book me and Brenda put together, the Appalachian Homestead Manual. The whole book works just like tonight did. Plain step by step, the old ways that keep money in your pocket instead of leaving it at the store, from the garden to the pantry to the wood stove. It is $17, down from $47, and 1 mended sweater already covered most of that. Everything else in there is savings stacked on savings, better than $9,000 a year at our house. Now go ahead and grab your phone and open up your camera, the same one you use to take pictures. Point it at that square code on your screen and hold it steady for a second. A little link will pop up, give it a tap, and it will take you straight to the book. And if you are watching on your phone right now, the link is waiting for you right down below in the description. Take your time. There is no rush at all. I'll wait right here. So that is the whole of it. Trim the fuzz. Anchor in solid fabric 1/2 inch out, lay your rails easy, weave over and under, and leave the patch room to breathe. Now tell me this in the comments. Did your mama or your papa have their own way of mending clothes, a darning egg, a button tin, a trick with a light bulb? Put it down below, because those little family ways are exactly the kind of knowledge that gets lost when nobody writes them down. I read every single one. And come back next time, because I am going to show you how my papa waterproofed his leatherwork boots for the whole winter with something that sits on the kitchen stove, and it beats anything you can buy in a spray can for 1/10 of the price. Y'all take care now, and God bless.